Are you thinking about selling your home? Well, if you are, there's no question. There's going to be a home inspection. The question is, are you prepared for the home inspection?
Nobody expects the Spanish Inquisition. Our chief weapon is surprise.
Well, maybe nobody expects the Spanish Inquisition, but if you are selling your home, you should expect a home inspection. Now, you think about the home inspection really as that second date between the buyers and your home. They're coming back to make sure they still want to marry your home, so to speak. In other words, they just want to be reassured that they are making an informed decision. I'm going to give you 10 proactive tips to make sure that neither you or the buyers are actually caught off guard by the inspection and that your home flies through the home inspection process. So this list will include items that will be required by an appraisal in order for the buyer to even obtain financing for your home. And also I'll address the critical point of sale item that will be required by the city of Ventura towards the end of the video. Now, I've been actively selling real estate in Ventura, California for the past 36 years. So I've seen quite a few inspections and seen far too many reports. So let's talk a little bit about the inspection process. There's no question your house is going to be combed over with a fine-tooth comb, so to speak. And most sellers would love to sell as is, but the reality is the buyer has no idea as to what the condition of the many different aspects of the home are until they really fully inspected the property. And unfortunately, this is where a deal can fall apart if there's just too many issues for the buyer to overcome or deal with. It's very common for the home inspector to even find things that you or the buyer may not be aware of, which is one of the biggest reasons a deal can fall apart. Some of the known issues can be adjusted for upfront through price or through a credit, but this checklist will help you identifying and or remedying the important issues. And in case you're wondering, I'll cover what happens after the home inspection in an upcoming video. But for now, let's start with the basic procedure and preparation of the inspection itself. The process begins with the inspection being scheduled by the buyer's agent. Once that's scheduled, it's your responsibility to ensure that the home is available and all the utilities are on. All the pilots should be on and lit. Pets should be out of the way. The inspection will usually take 2, maybe 3 hours, depending on the size and complexity of the home. The inspector will be taking photos as well and running all the different systems, furnace, appliances, dishwasher, all those items. And the buyer and the buyer's agent will typically meet with the inspector at the end of the inspection so they can highlight the top findings and show the buyer some of the workings of the house and answer any other buyer just related questions. We typically recommend to our sellers to just leave during the home inspection process, give the inspector and buyer some privacy. That being said, there may be circumstances that require you to be home during the inspection. For example, if you work from home. Just remember they'll be discussing flaws and items that need repair, and talking about that in front of you may be awkward. At the same time, it is important for the buyer to be able to check all the different systems and aspects of the home. If the buyers are not able to get all the information they need during the inspection, it means they may need to have a specialist come back out and check on specific items of concern. Now, you may be thinking this is actually a lot to remember already, so if you don't have a pen and paper handy, no worries. I'm going to have a printable checklist of the 10 tips plus some of the professionals we use to knock out some of these items that are critical in the link in the description below. That being said, let's start off with number 1, accessibility. You'll need to make sure that your home is easily accessible to the home inspector. You'll want to remove any personal items that would impede the inspector's ability to access the major components of the house, including water heater, furnace, attic, windows, closets, storage areas, additional rooms, all those things. And if you have locks on your gates or electrical boxes or storage areas, you'll need to unlock these for that day, or at the very least have keys labeled for access. Because if the inspector can't access something, they're going to make a note of that in their report, which can make the buyer hallucinate the worst possible outcome. Not good. Not to mention, they may even stick you with a fee to have the inspector come back out and take a look at that area. And lastly, if you have a security system, make sure you shut it off beforehand. Number 2, electrical. There are a few items here to check on. Start by walking around the house and make sure that all the light bulbs are working. Now, this item may seem kind of simple, but it can cause your buyer, again, a lot of anxiety. Understand when the inspector comes through, it's not his or her job to figure out if a light bulb is the issue or is it major wiring. So make sure that all the light bulbs are working. So there's no question about whether or not it's a bulb or a bigger electrical issue. If something doesn't appear to work, the inspector will put it in the report, even again, if it's something as simple as a burnt out light bulb. Appliances should all be plugged in and operational. Check to make sure that the smoke detectors are working in each bedroom and also one in each hallway. And the carbon monoxide detectors are also operating on each level. This will be a requirement of the appraisal as well as the lender in order to provide financing for the buyer. So definitely get this one done. Next, exposed wiring or open splices definitely will be called out as a health and safety item. So best have a handyman or electrician can easily, knock this out and remedy it for you. Number 3 are windows. Broken windows definitely will need to be fixed or prepared to give the buyer a credit to have it fixed. Windows that have a broken seal are a little bit tricky since they're still functional, but not aesthetically very attractive, especially if that window has an ocean view. This issue may be overlooked by a buyer since the buyer may have noticed it when they saw the house. It's not a functional or safety issue, but it is an aesthetic one. Usually it's not a big deal, but it can be a negotiating item. Otherwise, go throughout the house and make sure all the windows are open and they stay open and obviously can lock. Make sure if there's any screen tears that they're taken care of beforehand. Number 4, this is probably where it's best to consider having a roofing company come out, do an inspection of the roof. The roofing company can replace missing or damaged shingles. They can make sure the flashing is all properly sealed. They will want to check the inside of the attic because many times when you go up there, you'll see signs of water that's actually coming in. You just simply don't know about it because it's not landing on your forehead. So I will also give you a couple roofer names on the checklist. Number 5, order a termite report. Besides inspecting for termites, a termite report will check for exterior wood rot. You'll actually notice this by the softening of wood, either around door frames, windows, and you'll see it in the soffits as well as the fascia board. It's just an open invitation for future water problems and termites. So to be proactive, I recommend ordering a termite report up front. Number 6, the HVAC system. Once again, I'm going to recommend that you have a company come out to check the HVAC system to make sure it's properly working. A written notice along with their sticker showing that everything's in good working order will actually go a long way to pleasing both the inspector and the buyer. One other tip I'll give you with the HVAC system is if you haven't been doing so to this point, buy 2, maybe 3 filters, leave it right there at the furnace and start replacing the filter now. It's a good habit to get into and it also shows the buyer you're putting a lot of due diligence or proper maintenance into the HVAC system. Number 7, plumbing. Some cities like Ventura and Ojai require all single-family homes that are 10 years or older have a sewer lateral inspection as a point-of-sale requirement. And a point-of-sale requirement means that the inspection must be done and filed with the city before you can even close. Any deficiencies will need to be remedied. Other cities in our area currently don't require this inspection, so you can opt out of this. I've included a plumber recommendation that I frequently use for this process. Now, we're still on plumbing items. The water heater will also need to be double strapped for earthquakes and will be required for the appraisal. Now, just simply go throughout the house to make sure that the handles and the faucets don't leak. When you do run the water, the plumbing shouldn't be restricting the water flow, which can be from the water pressure gauge setting, or it could be from the pipes are restricting the flow. Now, if so, you'll want to reach out to a plumber and have him check that out. Obviously, check the toilets, make sure they're operating properly, and that the sinks aren't leaking. Number 8, chimney inspection. So if you do have a chimney, getting a chimney inspection to come out to check 2 things. Number 1, creosote buildup, which they can clean up easily. Number 2, that it's in good working order. This will go, again, a long ways to buyers being concerned about the operation of that. Number 9, provide any special operating instructions for the inspector, because the inspector wants to be able to test the different systems to show the buyer that it is in good working order. And while the inspector has inspected a lot of homes, they do run into situations where they're not able to operate a system because they're just not familiar with it. Unfortunately, when that happens, they noted in their report that the system was not operational, which is concerning to the buyer and frustrating for you as a seller. So let's just say you have to hit 2 different switches to get the pool light to come on, or if it's just not obvious, leave a note. Which brings me to my last tip, number 10, provide receipts of work done. Save all receipts of work done by any workman and give them to your agent. It demonstrates to the buyer that you're taking care of the home, and more importantly, it gives them peace of mind that they're making a good decision in marrying or buying your property. Bonus tip. Check your grading around the perimeter of your home. Check for low-lying areas where there's a negative grade, where it's actually sloping towards your house. Because if you allow water to hang around your foundation, especially during heavy rainfall, it can actually cause flooding and come inside the home. So to remedy this, a simple remedy actually is you're going to want to pack it in with nice clay-type soil and slope it away from the house. Otherwise, make sure your downspouts drain away from your house and into the public drain system. Well, there you have it. And as promised, if you'd like to get your downloadable checklist of everything you need to do, as well as who you can call, simply click the link below in the description box. Also, if you're interested in finding out what happens after the home inspection and the negotiation of the buyer request, you may want to hit the subscribe and bell icon to be notified of upcoming videos.